Hey guys, this is Mario Kart. I just want to do another Soul Calibur 2 video for the Xbox. This time dealing more with 3ds Max and how to get proper skin weights into the game. Okay, just give you a little bit of history. Jasmine created a tool called Soul Calibur 2 Model Explorer. It allowed you to export the game's models as milkshape files. Milkshape is this program here. It's a fancy model viewing program. It's hardly an editor, but anyway, he used this as the main editor to edit your models and stick it back in and out. But unfortunately, it used a very old version called 1.77a. That version did not support skin weights, though it did retain it until you did something. But anyway, that was garbage. But anyway, he kind of disappeared from the scene. Milkshape updated a few times after that, and the new milkshape, if you save, it's incompatible with Jasmine's tool. It'll just crash. So yeah, I wrote up something in 3ds Max using the scripting language MaxScript just to transist the new version, which is 1.8.4, to the old version 1.77a, re-enabling the operation of this thing with newer files. And also, by doing it that way, we can now put in proper skin weights, which is good. But I took it a step further, and I incorporated 3ds Max into my workflow, because Milkshape is not good for model editing or rigging in that matter. So yeah, that's what the video is going to be about. It's going to be more 3ds Max technical more than anything. Pretty much. That's what it's mostly going to be about. So let's start this thing off. We have this thing open. I'm first going to grab a model that I want to stick into the game. That way I can pre-plan and better get it into the game. I'm just looking around, looking for a good model. I think a really good model to use would be one of the Dynasty Warrior 6 models. They're at that kind of low poly kind of range where it would fit perfectly into Soul Calibur 2's engine. Just bear in mind that you can't use like a 360 model into Soul Calibur 2 because for the poly count is going to be tremendous, probably double or triple, and it'll just crash the game. And then you have to consider the materials. The materials are designed for the new graphics we have, so they use a lot of different texture layers to achieve shader effects. For a game like Soul Calibur 2, you're just going to need a basic diffuse map and possibly a transparency map or a spec map, which is old school stuff. Not too old school, like N64, but kind of mid-range there. So we're going to be using a Dynasty Warriors model just because simplistically it's pretty much already done for us. We'll just use this one. Look at it in 3ds Max here. Okay. So the first thing I do is when I decide I want to put a game or a model into a game, I look at it and I say, okay, what are the requirements that I'm going to have to find? Basically, what I'm restricted by is what's already existing in Soul Calibur 2. I can only replace. I can't create new. So I have to think of a character that already exists in Soul Calibur 2 that I can replace this character. An existing character that best fits this character would be another way to put that. So I'm just looking at what I need to look for in another character from that game. Right now I can tell that she's a tall model with hair, so I'm going to need at least something that's tall, has a hair bone of some sort, and if possible maybe a skirt bone, which would add some interesting effects. Alright, I'm usually not biased against replacing male characters. If they fit the bill, I usually use them. Fortunately, a lot of them, male characters will have broader shoulders. They'll be farther apart, and you just can't use those. But anyway, if you can get away with it, I could usually just do it. Anyway, to look at the contents of your game, you're going to have to obviously have a modded Xbox. You want to drag over the root.olk and copy it to your desktop. You can browse the contents using either Oak Explorer, here it is, or you can use this one, which I like to use because it's a built-in model viewer. Before you use it, make sure you turn on single click and load 3D objects, and then you can go to File and just open up that root file. Oops. Alright, so there's the root file. You just click on it. Alright, so you can open on it and maximize that. And if you click through the list, you can see obviously it previews textures and models. It just shows you models and textures. There's more stuff more stuff in that file, like music and stuff and other junk. But that's why you need to use Explorer when you want to actually replace stuff. This is only for just browsing the contents of the disk. All right, so the characters are usually at the bottom of the list. I just hold the button straight up, and I just have a look at the characters. Usually not so fast, but yeah. I already have a character in mind that I'm going to be using, which is Tacky, actually. I'm just going to find her. I know that Tacky is probably one of the taller characters. So I'm going to find Tacky. Oh, no, that wasn't her. Okay, there's Tacky. She's tall, she's got hair, and one of them has a skirt. The hair's missing on that one. Alright, that one fits the bill pretty good. Skirt thing, long hair, tall. So that sounds good to me. We're gonna use that model. Oh, before you go to export, sorry, make sure you're exporting the right model. The game actually does have a duplicate of every model, so there'll be a duplicate of this model. The reason behind that is because each model is packed with a sound file, and of course there's going to be two main languages, which is Japanese and English. So obviously if you're using an English game, either European, UK, what else are American, Canadian, whatever, that's all English, right? So you want to use the later duplicate. To figure that out, I usually find the model that I want, then sort the list by size. That way the duplicate is the exact same, so you'll find it. Just click up and down on the keyboard, and that'll find it. Alright, so yeah, there's the two duplicates. You can see they're exact same size. The earlier file is going to be the Japanese one. The one we want to mod is the later file in the list. So now we're going to export that one. I already exported it already, but anyway, save one there, and export again, and save it in a folder called backup. That way you have a backup, obviously. And then you can just close that if you want. And then we can use Jasmine's tool here to dump all convert your model to MS3D files. So just click on open. There's our file. Okay, so it's going to take a little second there. Alright, so it's going to list all the files model files that are in there. Basically, static things are things that don't bend, usually pieces of armor. We'll edit that stuff later. Usually I just remove them because I have no need for armor. But anyway, the skinned one is one we want. Doesn't matter which one you click. They're all linked. So just go on export. Actually, for the first time, when you do it the first time, just click on all. That way you get textures and everything else at the same time. But it takes longer, obviously. So yeah, what else can I say? So yeah, we're using this model. Once I get that exported, all we're going to do is we're going to prep this model to stick it into the game. One thing I should have showed you before is that our model is actually broken up into textures, obviously. Soul Calibur 2 is a little bit weird. The reason why they're all broken up like that is so they can add specific material properties. So this will be kind of green and glossy, this will be kind of green and glossy, and this will be reflective or something, and then this will be like see-through. So yeah, that's how the game works. Each texture has its own property, and unfortunately we can't make our own texture files. The materials are kind of weird, complicated, so we have to just replace what's already existing there. So this texture represents probably our whole head model. So if I want a model that, like say this model that I'm going to be using, if I want that part of the model to have the property of the face, which is probably just something normal, I would cut out her face and make that the face object to replace it with. If I want something glossy like the shirt, I would have to find her shirt, which is glossy, and replace it. It's probably really confusing to you, but to get more efficiency out of your model, you want to dice it up, is what I'm trying to say. If you notice, all these are little tiny textures. This is little 128 times 128 is 164 times 64. Those are really small, like small. Those are freaking small. Okay. And our Dynasty Warriors model itself just uses one large texture. Actually, old new generation games use just a single large texture, so that's not really good. We have to dice that up, and I wanted to pick a Dynasty Warriors model because I wanted to show you guys how to dice up, because that's also important. So yeah, there's our model. We want to dice out the head texture, dice out the eyes, hair, shirt, legs, whatever, and we just want to stick it in there for better texture efficiency. So yeah, that's one of the technical things I was talking about. We're going to be doing that. Alright. So where am I now? So this thing's done. I'm just going to close it. It annoys me. Alright, so should have created another folder with the same name. As you can see, all the milkshake files are in there. Those are your textures. P8 files are these ones that don't show up correctly. P8. They're extra, usually DXT1. These things are really annoying to mod. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So there's our main file. I'm going to open that in Milkshake. Oops, sorry, open. Okay, like I said, the rest are actually static items like armor. There's no point to modding that yet. The main file is the largest one, obviously. That's pretty much Taki's entire body. Alright, you can press spacebar to enlarge your view, but there's not much to see. When you first do this the first time, go to Preferences and make sure this says 0.005. If it doesn't, it'll probably be like this. And yeah, your screen will probably look like that blue glob thing. To hide that, either go to the Joints tab and disable Skeleton, or you can just go to Preferences and change this to 0.005 as I said. Okay, so there's your model. There's nothing we can really do in here because that's not what this is about. We want to actually export this to SMD, and where's my folder? Okay. By the way, this is my first time using Windows 7. I just upgraded, so I'm a little disoriented. Anyway, we'll just call this SMD Taki.smd, and we want to save with skin weights, and that's that. Alright. Alright, so now I'm going to copy this into my mod folder. Oops. So to do that, I'm just going to go to Archive. So that's all copied there. Just need that. Where'd you go? Alright, so yes, that's that. Okay. The textures need to be edited later on because there's a weird transparency thing in there, but anyway. So we can now reset that. And I'm going to import our Taki model. Oops. Before you import, actually, I created a script to fix it. Where is it? Okay, before you import the SMD, you have to patch it. I created a Max script for 3ds Max, which will do that for you. Oops. Execute. Let's listen here. Caption unknown. Okay, anyway, I'm running out of time. I'm just going to try and fix that Max script. I'll get back, and then we'll continue editing the model and sticking it back in Milkshake. Okay, and I think that's it. So the first segment was just about me chatting a lot.